Hey there, and welcome back to our Elden Ring narrative lore playthrough. Hope you all are doing pretty okay today. We are going to continue on through the northwestern section of the whole consecrated snowfields. So it should overall more or less wrap up, and we may even do the village, or town, not really a village. We'll see kind of how it plays out, just like I said the last time. Now we're going to kind of avoid this section of forest, I say that in quotations, and check out this one now. And see, we're already getting... Look, he's spawning way out here. So, the end of our last one, that's what we had been dealing with, were a bunch of the Dragonkin ghosts. Or, that sounded like I said goats. Ghosts. And I kind of wonder if they have some connections to, like, the Headless Knights. Because you have ghosts there that can exist when they, like, basically remove their head as an apparition. But there's also ghosts in places like Castle Saul, right? Which is just right over there. And they seem to exist without having to do anything crazy. But I do largely believe that they are bound to the Commander Nile up there. So is it similar? Is it the same? You know, I don't know. But we've got some big old but red flower fields in the snow, which is really curious. I've kind of noticed it earlier, and it is an interesting thing to see because it is a snowfield. It's not really something you typically see plants thriving in, which is another oddity about the annex, is because it's got big plants sprouting out of there. All the other buds we get out and around these trees and stuff are frozen buds. And now we've got a dog. Not just one dog, two dogs, and they are the blood variants that we find typically around the various Mohg kind of locations. They are pretty vicious. There's another one. Crystal darts. Interesting. I wonder if that body was a sorcerer or not. Looks like a noble. Yeah, type of noble. So, let's kind of go up here and check it out a little bit more. We lost our horse, which means we are being invaded. But invaded by who? Well, we've got blood red flowers, we've got blood dogs, and invaded by sanguine noble. But from what direction? Oh, there he is. Now, we had dealt with quite a few of them before, particularly in the Mohgwyn Dynasty ruins. Ow. Oof. Now, notice this guy, compared to the other ones, he does not have the rapier, and even the rest of his body and stuff isn't quite the same as those others that come up out of the pools of blood. On a gameplay sense, it's probably simply because this is an invader and not necessarily some creature that they brought in over, right? But it could be he's sort of a early stage of this sanguine noble, and then as they basically stay in devotion to Lord Mohg, and I assume kind of consume his cursed blood, then they become more monstrous because they have weird clawed-looking hands and feet and horns spiraling out of them like a omen. So maybe that's something that's kind of happening with that, and he just hasn't had that effect happen yet. But we did get his armor, so maybe we'll have some more enlightenment. Hood of dyed black cloth featuring gold embroidery, worn by nobles who serve the Lord of Blood. Known to strike from pools of blood, these assassins are missionaries come to share the gospel of accursed blood. So, alright, the nobles, this is their garb. Top part is the same. The grand metallic pattern on the shoulder is a signifier of the noble rank they intend to claim upon the advent of the new dynasty they are working to install. Alright, so yeah. Now, I guess it does say, let me reread it again real quick. Worn by nobles who serve the Lord of Blood. So, yeah, maybe they are from a noble line, noble lineage that have then pledged themselves to Mohg. And given that Morgott was of the golden lineage, and he is brothers with Morgott is of the golden lineage. We saw that in his great rune, and Morgott and Mohg are brothers. It would make sense that they are, they're both of the golden lineage then. So maybe that's why these nobles pledged themselves to him. Look at that. pretty cool looking. They actually have a little pouch thing on the side. It's also got jewels and stuff to it, red and blue. The red gem at the top. Some of it does kind of remind me of the Lucarian, just because a lot of their armor and stuff has a lot of finery to it, the jewels attached to it. Mohg's armor. And actually, see, I didn't see any gloves for them, but they've actually got almost like chain bead bracelets wrapped all up the arms. Mohg's chest piece, his has basically two, or no, it does just have the one. But look how much more grand his is, right? See, this is, again, to signify the rank he's going to take in that new dynasty, where he is the lord, the ruler of it. Yeah. But I also kind of wonder, too, when we're talking about nobility and stuff, it does actually make me think of the Hoslow family. Because when we read it, right, they are a revered house of Hoslow. So it really makes me think a noble family. So it does make me wonder, could they have come from there? I mean, there could have been all sorts of noble houses and groups that they could have come from. Because, you know, the game has to be somewhat limited in its scope because it is, in fact, a game. And so you have to make cuts and choices in what all you want to show and display. But there is, in a sort of realistic sense, there would be all kinds of noble houses and families through this golden order and lineage. I mean, just based on what the dude down in Limgrave is talking about. I can't think of his name right now. Kenneth Heights, you know, all that kind of stuff. All right, moving on though. Rune Bear, digging up at the trees, clawing at marking territory. I note that there are no Dragonkin soldiers here, so it's literally just this part right here, this stretch, which is so, it's just, I can't get over it. It's such an odd thing, and it's a deliberate choice too. I mean, why would they choose to do that? If they wanted something to hold this section, why did they choose them? They chose the Dragonkin soldiers and chose them as ghosts for some kind of reason. Now, there is always... Oh, I can't open my map. There it goes. There is always the possibility that they really did just choose it randomly, that there was no greater meaning behind it. It just was a choice. And there's nothing more to read from it. But I can't help but feel as though there is supposed to be something more to it. What are these? Oh, more Eye of Yellows? Oh, and a bunch of madmen here. Okay. I didn't know if there was something else going on. So let's keep going up north and see what else goes on up along here. Probably not going to fight all the rune bears because that promises to be a miserable time. Oh, there's a waygate there. It is covered in blood. There's also an albinaric just sort of staring off. Or these sludge things too, just piles of bones and refuse. Still very bizarre-like thing. I mean, it's kind of a staple of some of the sort of Soulsborne Ring games where you just have sludge slime creature things that have various bones and body pieces in there. Glass shards, thin beast things. Let's go ahead and travel through. See where it takes us. A very dark cave. Our eyes kind of glow in the dark. Oh, I don't have my torch. That's okay. The music is playing for something like the Eternal City or something for the underground. Mohgwyn Palace. And look at that. We're set up high, looking out at it, the whole thing. What a great view, actually. And see, that's the elevator portion that goes up. With that statue of the man, old man kind of dude holding a tablet. Section where you fight Mohg. Very cool. It's so interesting that the whole thing is on fire, basically, too. Side of Grace we start from as well, I believe. Or is it? No, that seems to be a different one, huh? Interesting. Couple items on the way down here. Nothing really amazing. Palace Approach Ledge Road. Okay. So when we came here before, we just sort of ended up basically at the entrance because we used our Pure Blood Knight invitation basically, even though old boy Vare told us not to do it. And we can look down on the pool of blood, that whole lake, which is where we end up fighting all those white masked surgeons. But look at all the Albinarchs. And we saw one who was staring at the gate, almost as though he was contemplating whether he wanted to go through or not. Now we have some new kind of context. And see, a lot of these guys are still all silver-skinned. But look, the standing ones are all red. So I'm wondering, right? These Albinarchs, when we go and we look up at the north in the consecrated snowfield, we find a whole bunch of them right along here, right? As well as in this Ordina liturgical town, there are several of the Albinarch women. We find one of them riding out here. But then the rest of this, we haven't seen really any Albinarchs. There's just a one when we took the gate somewhere around in here, wherever it was at, right? So one is staring off in there. And I'm wondering, right? Because they came to the consecrated snowfield because the Halig tree is supposed to be sacred for the Albinarchs. And it's a place of the unchosen. And nobody seems to want these Albinarchs, right? And so they came there to follow Mikola, right? They're using his spells. They also do some sleep and frost things as well. They're using sort of silver weapons. They're using Shamshir, which is very reminiscent of the flowing sword, which has ties with, sealing away the God of Rot. But they don't have access to the Halig tree, right? They're still wandering outside in the snow. And so do you think because they were continued to be rejected, like they didn't actually make it to the Halig tree? Instead, they found this waygate where there's a sanguine noble. And what is his job? He's a missionary, right? He goes out to spread the word of Mohgwyn, which is the way of cursed blood. And so he finds them, who still haven't been taken in by the Halig tree, Mikola, and Millennia, and says, hey, come over here. There's a new way for you where we'll accept you. And so they do. They follow over, go through the waygate, and you still have a number here who haven't completely turned over yet. But then all the rest of the way, what do we see? Bunches and bunches of Albinarchs who have, partook in the cursed blood of Mohg and are now wielding his cursed powers for themselves. They've also got all these needle barbed things going on, much like a manifestation of, I would say, his omen curse, right? Because that's what they have going on. They have these spikes erupting out, or like horns erupting out of their heads and stuff. And so maybe then see how it almost is painful when it goes like erupting out. Probably gonna die if I'm not careful. I didn't heal. Can I? Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. Yeah, so it's a new interesting narrative when you take all these pieces together. Because before we just had, we've got Albinarchs here. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Nobody sort of wants them. Mohg is collecting things. But now we've got an even better idea. If they're in a land of the unchosen and it's a trial and they're still not successfully passing the trial to see this Halig tree, and they're basically finding themselves will broken, and somebody comes along saying, hey, check this out. It's that's what's gonna happen. I mean, look too, they've even got dudes like staked up there. He's an interesting noble looking dude too. I don't think I've seen any wearing garbs like that. It's very reminiscent of the Rey Lucarian one, because if you look on their robe, get it pulled up here. All right, see how the two sort of tassels over the top. His has more stuff to it and whatnot, but he doesn't have the crown of stone because they probably just weren't apt enough. But he does have a sort of crown of sorts for his noble status. And then we find ourselves back out here. We've been here before. So yeah, Interesting stuff. We need to go back, though. We've been through there. Now it's time to finish clearing up this part. Stake America. Makes some sense. This place is a bit dangerous, given the rune bears, the invader, blood dogs. More nobles walking along. We can see an illusory minor tree up there. Have we ever truly looked at their banner? Is it just hash marked? Yeah, it's just a pattern on there. There's no actual symbol. We do find ourselves a ghost, though. Mohg, you rotten omen, your blood is cursed. Give him back. Give Lord Miquella back. How dare you lay hands on such precious flesh? So, right, we know that Miquella was sort of absconded by Mohg, and that dude is saying, hey, bring him back. Now, why would he be laying there? So if we look at his position, this dude's body, he is facing towards where that way gate is at, approximately. Maybe not exactly, but as though he was crawling or fell going that direction. And so he's trying to go there. And so he would have come from here, going off this way towards the way gate, in an effort to bring back Miquella. But who all would have known that he was taken there? We see that dude, you know, one random noble guy. You imagine if Millennia would have known, or any of his other forces, would be a little bit more of a mounted effort to go and get him. So while editing the video, I had another thought about the Albinarchs and them being in the Mohgwyn Palace, as well as the sort of portal there that leads to the location and everything. So we have the ghost who's right over here somewhere. And, you know, we just had read how, oh, Mohg stole Miquella, blah, blah, blah. And why... Can't imagine just that one dude went to go get Miquella back, right? Well, why weren't the Clean Rot Knights after him? Things like that. Well, they were probably gone, right? Clean Rot Knights were gone because they were with Millennia doing her whole campaign. And then by the time they got back, Miquella is already spirited away, right? Or they just don't know. It was kind of secretive until after the fact. So there could be that portion. But a thought I had specifically was, what if the rescue force were those Albinarchs? Maybe, right, you have a bunch that are just kind of wandering over here, but maybe a big group of them did leave and they went out to bring him back, and they just failed, right? They got corrupted. You know, they weren't able to do it. Maybe that's why there's some that are just sitting there, is because they failed in their mission, and then others have been corrupted or taken in by Mohg. And so that's pretty much it, I guess, you know, is that was a rescue force and they failed, and then they've been lost and they've been corrupted. The one issue I have with that, I mean, they would have to have succumbed to Mohg's influence and basically joined his side, because it does very much feel as though, you know, the big major force that you encounter wandering through basically the Blood Lake sections or mires, you know, they're kind of guarding outside forces, or guarding from outside forces, right? Keeping you from getting inside there. So they've definitely gone over to his side. And so definitely that had to have happened, which means they weren't just corrupted and like turned into these blood Albinarchs. They've now gone native and they're kind of working with him. So if that's the case, hey, that could work. I could see it. That was it. That was my thought. Back to regularly scheduled stuff. And we can see a patrol of some soldier-like entities ahead, and they're Mausoleum Knights. And what's standing there in the distance? A mausoleum, which we had seen from the distance way up at Castle Saul. Look how just that dude posing up there, aura farming, staring off into the abyss. Look at that. It's just shooting a huge magical bombardments. I mean, nothing we've seen like that. Oh. Oh, man. And it does these huge, almost vortexes where it then launches these volleys. Legs are looking a bit frozen, but they still have the standard, basically, skull growth things on there. So how is this one different, right? Why is it able to launch these big barrages of magic? Now, given the structure and design of these things, they are very reminiscent of the Eternal Cities, right? They're not always found by them, because there's one way down in the Weeping Peninsula, and there's nothing down there that's Eternal City related. But the actual architecture and stuff, it is very much like them. And they have a lot of ties to... oh, gosh dang. They have a lot of ties to magic, right? There seems to be a lot of them that has to do with the different magical towns, like Celia. I seem to find that they have some connections to the Academy, Ray Lucaria, and they just have such proximity to it that it just naturally seems to fit. But what is interesting is, you know, those who are left living in there, the Nox, none of them actually use magic, right? They're monks, swordstress ladies. There's the Night Maidens who... oh, sorry, Torrent. There's Night Maidens who do a silvery mist, which almost just seems to blow off of their dagger, not even from any kind of catalyst like a seal or a stave. And I mean, no real reason for us to think this is really going to be any different on the inside, because, yeah, what would be different in it? Same statues. And see, the Eternal City, like in the interior of the Eternal Cities, you don't see the statues of that guy, but in the wandering mausoleums, they're here. You do see them, right? Where you've got headless demigods. And then we could duplicate something. Yeah, interesting. It's just interesting, I guess. Oh, look way out there. We're looking back at Ordina. And there is another one of those rotten duelists. In a way, it's kind of like this thing was guarding this structure right here, which is a chapel. A lot of jellyfish out there on the side, too. Look what we have there. Apostate Derelict. Apostate being somebody who is against a religion or a blasphemer, I guess you might say. Derelict being abandoned or forgotten. Let's pull up the apostate definition just to kind of get a clear meaning. Okay, a person who renounces a religious or political belief or principles. So after 50 years as an apostate, he returned to the faith. Adjective, abandoning a religious or political belief or principle. An apostate Roman Catholic. So somebody who maybe once believed and then went against it. So that would be different than somebody who just doesn't follow the faith or follows a different one that the church or somebody, whoever, deems them an apostate. And then derelict does, of course, mean in a very poor condition as a result of disuse and neglect. Or a noun being a person without a home, job, or security or property. Derelicts who could fit all their possessions in a paper bag. The cities were derelict and dying. This place being apostate derelict. So is she an apostate? This large albinoric woman? And she's been, like, jobless without anything. But look how she's moving. She's slumbering. We can't talk to her. Very blonde, right? Even her eyelashes, see? Almost white. Silver mirror shield. And then we can also summon Latenna.
O young yet towering sister of ours, let the birthing droplet in and create life for us. For all the Albinorics. Thank you. I finally fulfilled my purpose.
Somber ancient dragon smithing stone.
Our young yet towering sister will give us hope. Now that nothing is left unfinished, I will join you in battle to the bitter end. And when the fighting is done, Then you may lay me to rest. Beside Lobo, my dear wolf.
Okay, so this is one of the most enigmatic things in the entire game. There's almost nothing else I can think of that's more just what? So her young yet towering sister let the birthing droplet in and create new life for us. So, I mean, at no point has she ever mentioned anything about a birthing droplet or anything like that, right? But we know Latenna, she was way down here in Liurnia for some purpose. And she was actually down in this, not the Road's End, but the Crystal Catacombs, way down in here, Lakeside Crystal, and then Slumbering Wolf's Shack. And she'd been kind of pinned there because of Gideon, right? But she was also friends with those other Albinarchs. So again, I'm assuming a first-generation Albinarch, because the little dumpy frog-faced ones, they are second generation, okay? And so I believe these would be first generation. So what did she go down there for? And she's not the only one that was there. There was another one. We found their body that a bunch of the other Albinarchs were surrounding in the western half in the church district, I believe it was. And so I'd say she came down there to find something and bring it back for their sister to give them new life. And so why is this one so towering, right? Towering. Why is she slumbering? Does she have ties with Saint Trina? Right? It's so bizarre. And now we did get that shield, so maybe that can give us some clarification. A silver mirror shield. Shield of radiant silver, festooned with amber and carried by Loretta, Knight of the Halig Tree. The shape is said to imitate that of a sacred drop of dew, which inspired the absurd rumor that Loretta herself was an Albinarch. So, again, absurd rumor that Loretta was an Albinarch, which, you know, not so much. And actually, there's a spell about Loretta that we should read. And actually, I think I might have said Loretta earlier, and I mean Latenna. So, used by the Royal Knight Loretta. It is said that the bow was Loretta's favored weapon, which is what the Albinarch women use, right? So this thing, again, a sacred dew, sacred drop of dew. Well, a lot of the tiers that we get for our physic are sacred drops, right? Crimson Crystal Tear, a crystal tear forms slowly over the ages where the Erd Tree's bounty falls to the ground. So is it something similar to that? Filigreed, a little bit of amber. It reminds me of kind of like the ant spurs in a way. I actually can't hold up the shield because it's a peaceful area. The way it's folded together is interesting. It reminds me a bit of a seashell, kind of. Interior doesn't really show anything either. Very, very fancy, though. Now, there is something else we can look at, too, though. So, if you defeat the Albinarch archers, you can actually get their armor. It just takes a bit. And so I did manage to do that. And when it drops, there you are. Blue silver mail armor. Chainmail armor crafted with blue silver, worn by the wolf-riding Albinarch archers. Blue silver is a metal born from the same mother as the archers themselves, and provides protection from magic and frost. So, the blue silver, metal born from the same mother as the archers themselves. So the archers have some mother, and it almost makes them seem metallic in nature because it's a metal born from the same mother as them, right? So how does that work? You know, how does that function? And so it's just, there's so many things. It makes me think of the Nox because they talk about their silver weapons being droplets like made from those things, a liquid metal. And these guys are, you know, have a silver blood. So maybe with the Albinarchs, it seemed to strongly imply that they were, you know, created. They weren't necessarily naturally born. I was trying to dig through my items to find what made me think that they were implied to be artificially made. And the only one I can think of is the cuckoo pot that seals healing, right? Albinaric pot. Knights of the Cuckoo do declare, behold thy defiled blood, unlike any humor that flows in our grand realm. So, I mean, maybe the Albinarics aren't even from Liurnia, even though there seem to be quite a good number of them. And then if we look at their blood clots, yeah, it does say, there it is. Albinarchs are life forms made by human hands. Thus, many believe them to live impure lives, untouched by the Erd Tree's grace. So maybe there was some human that used this blue-silver metal or utilized something of themselves to make the Albinarchs, and that was their mother. So maybe it was some type of woman, a female. And the other connection I would make has to go with, with this thing, right? What is it? It says it's a blue-silver, right? And it makes me think, like we were just talking about in the last video, with the Onyx Lords and Alabaster Lords, a blue-white, blue-silver, right? Albinarch, albino, auric, gold, white, gold. So a blue-white meteoric ore. So is there some crazy connection between all of them? It's just so bizarre. It's just such a thing that comes out of left field, I feel like. After you've been traveling around with Latenna, there's nothing else that like builds up what her purpose is. They're trying to give them new life. Maybe there's no more Albinarchs being made. The person who made them by human hands is gone, and so there's only so many of them left. I mean, because to be fair, how many of those female archers do we find, right? There's one down here. There's Latenna. There's their large giant sister, who, why is she like that? There's 2 outside of here, or 3. So there don't seem to be very many of them. So maybe it's because there's just nobody around who can still create them. And so by getting this drop, that is what they needed in order to bring new life for their family. Kind of like the Crystallians. The Crystallians are made by somebody, and so they need their creator to make more of them. They aren't just born. They're not necessarily natural, right? Oh my god, it's the Deathrite Bird. Okay. I did not remember that being here. See? Go around at night. So... Okay, let's drink this. Uh-oh. Bummer. They are. Might pull up the whip so I have the range to actually get some of these guard counters on his head. Ow. Made a mistake. I'm gonna maybe live. I did it again. Maybe not. Ow. Maybe, if I just hit him instead of trying to always get his head, this wouldn't be such a problem. God dang. I'm back. I brought something for you, too. That didn't do as much as I was hoping it would. Okay. Ooh, good stagger. Bummer, dude. Boom. That's just looking at their back end. Look how he has like a tail. It feels very reminiscent of a horse tail, right? Am I crazy? Because what bird do you know has a tail? I mean, it could be like a plumage, but I've never seen one like that. Okay. I don't want to be anywhere near those. Okay. 2, 3, gone. Yeah, never noticed that before. This is the tail thing. What is that guy gonna give us? Been a while since we fought one of them. Explosive ghost flames. I feel as though that's probably not going to be anything. I guess it could tell us something. Strike the ground with the staff, or sorry, start with sorcery of the servants of death. Much like Rancor Call, right? Strike the ground with the staff, triggering an explosion of ghost flame that burns the surrounding area. In the time when there was no Erd Tree, death was burned in ghost flame. Death birds were the keepers of that fire. Yeah, so before there was an Erd Tree, they burned the bodies, and you had the birds to keep it. Which, again, I think I talked about it way back when, how the Death Birds and stuff, to me, with the Ghost Flame, really makes me think of, Zoroastrianism and sky burials and stuff. There's an archer here, but she's a ghost. Wow, but a not touching, just a spectral thing, an image. Which is weird. Yeah. So before the Erd Tree, there were no Erd Tree burials, of course. So something had to be done with the dead, and that was burning them to, I guess, release them out into the world, where the way I'm taking it now, the way the Erd Tree is supposed to function, is you do the Erd Tree burial, they return to the Erd Tree, and then, when the bounties and stuff rain down, then you have all the things that were in the people returning to the world. But like a lot of things say, it's been a long time since that's happened, since any blessings have come down from above, from the Erd Tree. And so with the Erd Tree burials, and things just keep getting buried down there, it just kind of accumulates, and then it never comes back. Yeah, I don't know. This is my thought. Defeated another duelist guy. It's same deal, only now we've got his axe. We got another piece of the armor. Great axe designed for gladiatorial combat, now festering with scarlet rot, used by duelists who were exiled from the Colosseum. Now, it should be noted that the great axe is a weapon reserved for duelist champions, and the charge attack is particularly ferocious. So this is supposed to be from a champion. So yeah, now we're at the Ordina Liturgical Town. There's a body here. It's a assassin, Black Knife assassin. Black Knife hood, armor, gauntlets, greaves. Never gotten a good peaceful look. See how there's no face in there at all? In the front piece, it's kind of feathery looking, but also parts of it remind me of leaves. See the little bits around the waist? To me, those look like leaves. Scales, armor. It's got that blue-green sheen to it, which is very reminiscent of the Eternal City. So let's read it, see what it says, put it on, see what it does. Black Knife hood. Hood used by Black Knife assassins. The assassins that carried out the deeds of the Knight of Black Knives were all women, and rumored to be Newman, who had close ties with America herself. Right, so Ronnie says she orchestrated the whole thing. Now, here's Black Knife armor. Scale armor used by the Black Knife assassins, forged to make no sound. Traces of power yet remain in its concealing veil, which muffles the sound of footsteps. The assassins that carried out the deed, it does say deeds, plural. So, could that be the stealing of the Rune of Death and the murder of Godwyn? Or is it just multiple murders, right? Right, so the Newmen were long-lived, supposedly came from outside the lanes between, and are long-lived, supposedly of the same stock as America. And so, kind of a similar thing here, and all supposedly had close ties to America herself. So, that kind of implies that America might have had something to do with the Knight of Black Knives, but it's kind of a question of why would she want that to happen? And then if she wanted that to happen, why is Ronnie taking any kind of, credit for it at all? Because she wanted the Rune of Death specifically to slay her flesh, but not her spirit, to then go on and fight against the will of the Two Fingers. So, yeah, why would she take that credit if it was actually America? Spiritual wolves here. We got ourselves a Site of Grace. We can see one of the Albinarch archers up there. It is actually quiet. There are no footstep sounds, which, it does talk about the concealing veil cloth talisman thing. So it's like this right here, concealing veil. Talisman put together from dark cloth with a lustrous sheen. Completely conceals the wearer's presence when crouching at distance. Part of one of the concealing veils used by assassins in the Knight of Black Knives. So we got that talisman, I think, from fighting a Black Knife assassin. So you got that. And then the Crepus Vial, too, is, to me, is very similar to a small, mysterious bottle with a dark mist sealed inside. It helps to eliminate sounds, right? So that's why it feels similar to me, and the silverness of it, I guess. I don't know, it's a cool armor set, too. The hood is pretty solid, and you can see how it has that sort of transparent veil over the whole thing. Alright. Golden Rune. Ghost Archer sitting there. Interesting architectural designs on the thing. I'm going to switch all my armor back to what I like to use. Okay, so... interesting town. Portions of it do make me think of... Selena. Town of Sorcery. A bunch of these things are obscured by walls of light. More spectral wolves and Albinarch archers. We do get to circle all the way up here. You can see there's a seal on that wall of light, and it's a Mikola seal, a Halic tree. And that dude, he was close. He was at the stairs up to it. Held shut by a seal. And that symbol is actually the head part of the staff of the putrid tree spirits. Their avatar staff is not the same as the one used by most of the other Erd tree avatars. I had the big bowl basin for the Erd tree. That one is got these like leaf-spoked branches. Like the 4 figures in the Everjail. So there's an Everjail seal. So this whole place is almost sealed up in some way. A lot of ladders going up to different places. So this will be interesting. Gonna be honest, I actually very strongly dislike this portion. And now we're in the jail. Coloration is different simply because that's how it always is. But if you look on the top of that, how there was a girl almost in prayer with a little candled tree branch thing. That wasn't there before, right? That's new. The spots were empty. So in the jail, we find that. Also note that there was an Albinarch archer up there. There isn't one there now. So if we go and we start kind of exploring, we'll probably notice some more differences. Gonna swap out one of my things too. I should have probably prepped something else too to help me out. No more of those golden wall light seals. So now we have full access. Oh, look, footsteps. Hey, it's the Black Knife Assassin. Oh, God. Wow, she is not messing around, huh? Okay, we need to get a torch going. Sentry torch, sentry torch. Haha. Good try. There's that floaty attack style again. She hasn't done any actual God-slaying black flames yet. I was hoping to get like a backstab. Not actually sure I can. Ow. Gotcha. Oh, Ghost Glovewort. 9. Nice. So now we need to know, are there more of them? So we've got one. The, what we're lighting there reminds me of the little ghost candles that we find out and about to guide us into different locations with a little spirit. That's what that reminds me of. And the coloration of the spirit, too, is a little more kind of that white gold like we see with the barriers that were right here, right? There's an item over there. I don't trust it. There's an item right there. Oh, yep. See, there is another one. She opened with freaking black flames, too. Oh, I was really hoping I could tank that for some reason. I should have known better. No! Come on! There we go. We can just kind of trade and get the 3-hit combos. 1, 2, 3. One more. Nice. Okay, not bad. Oof. Using all our flasks, though. Are there more? Mikola's Lily. Mikola's Lily. Oh, you can see we're boundaries out there. We can't escape. Can we actually ride Torrent? Nope. No, we may not. So what about the body where there was a Black Knife Assassin, right? No body. Oh! Jerk. Oh, there's the backstab. Finally. Get the 3-hit combo. There we go. Much cleaner fight that time. Kind of. So what is their tie here? Are these others that just got trapped into the jail? Did they sort of betray? I mean, because there seems to be sort of some split loyalties, or I don't know. They seem to have some differing loyalties, because there's a bunch now that we find in different locations that seem to be serving other forces, whether it's the Two Fingers or Morgott or somebody, right? So they do seem to have some of their own differences and loyalties, at least after the Night of Black Knives. And it would make sense. They were an organization before, right? It's not as though they existed, like they didn't exist until the Night of Black Knives. Like they weren't a thing until Ronnie came along and trained them, or Marika or something, right? It would make some sense that they were all these women from, say, the Eternal City, and they were trained as these expert swordstress, knife fighters, things, and then they, I don't know, like a group of them fell in with Ronnie with that purpose, and that's like kind of how they became known as the Black Knife Assassins. Though, I will say this, so too, actually. Right? Malekith is the Black Blade. He's the Black Blade. So maybe they were scions of, you know, the Eternal City of Marika the Newman. And then they were basically worked under and with Malekith, right? The Black Blade. And they were the Black Knives. And then that's where there was sort of the ultimate betrayal. Is you had them like switch sides over and stole a portion of the thing they were supposed to protect from who was kind of their, maybe a master or mentor type figure. Now we've got an Albinarch lady shooting us, which sucks. Hey, lady. I always forget how you're actually supposed to get onto the rooftops. Yeah, I don't actually remember. So now we got to contend with them. I did this. I know there's another way to actually do it correctly, and I just don't remember. Okay, so Archer right there. We can jump across these rooftops, get to that, which will take us up there. Oh, and there's one over there, so we need to go that way first, maybe. Oop. So maybe we were supposed to start over here. Oh, you can actually see the, oh yeah, see, there's a ladder right there that takes you right on up. Man, foolish me. But you can parkour your way up. Okay, number 2. Can I make that jump? Wonder if you're supposed to try and make that jump, and then an archer just shoots you out of the freaking sky. Ow! They do so much damage. This place sucks, man. I hate it. I hate it so much. Okay, so now we've got 2. I don't have a way up there right now. Is there a different way over there? How do I reach up? That's a ladder right there. Okay. No. Oh my god. I don't remember... See this torch, how it's blue now? Magical. I don't remember them being like that in the real world. Maybe I'll try and pay some attention again once we actually get back. And get up to them. Alright, so her shots. You know what they make me think of? Are crystal darts. And the sort of glass shard arrows that you can make. Because they have this crystalline, shattery sound, right? Oh. Heal. Ow. Yeah, screw you. Oh, I don't want to knock you off, though, because then I'll have to go down, and she'll be shooting. There we go. I got an Albinarg bow and a blood clot. I think I actually did get the bow before. I don't remember. I have a lot of them. Jeez. Longbow featuring delicate silver work wielded by Albinarg wolfback archers. Requires strength to master. Or does not require strength to mastery. Another thing about them, too, is, right, wolves, they really like wolves. They ride the wolf. They seem to have one, like, bound to them. So what is the deal with that? Because wolves, I kind of have some ties, I see having ties with the Carrion family, because it's a moon. And then also, on top of that, is Radigan, because you've got the red wolves, the red wolf of Radigan, which is just an interesting thing, too. Also, I do want to mention, this has a girl, like a young girl, wearing kind of a circlet type thing, kneeling down, and which makes me think of the Albinarchs, because they can't walk, at least the first generation, which is such an interesting flaw. The second generation can, but they don't, they're dumpy frog-like people, where these first generation ones, who seem kind of largely superior, can't walk. So it's such an interesting issue to hit. Yeah, I did have another thought, though, about the statue, right? Because it looks like it's a young girl crouched down doing an offering thing. Except, who has a lot of ties with the stuff? Who had the magical seal keeping away people from that entrance that we saw, right? It was Mickelin's seal. Well, Mikkelin is often depicted as like a young, comely girl, like cursed with youth. So maybe that's who it actually is, and it would make sense that you'd think, oh, there's a statue of a girl, but it's actually Miquella. And it's got a branching thing. So is that branching thing the young Halig tree? That was his initial sprouting of it. A seal was broken in town. So there we go. We actually did it. I really dislike that portion. And honestly, out of my times doing it, that was probably one of the smoother times, outside of the fact that I could not find my way around the place for the life of me. But we did it. Are there still a bunch more magical seals? Also, the torches are blue. Okay, torches are blue. And it actually looks as though all of the barriers were removed as well. Wonder why they did that. Why did they put up the barriers? I kind of wonder if it wasn't to be a sort of like a gameplay thing, so that you couldn't, it would be really difficult to fully explore the town and get used to the whole thing, and force you into only going right to the end and then explore the town without any prior knowledge. Or maybe there is some kind of narrative they're trying to show where he's trying to seal the whole thing but couldn't in some way. Cuckoo Glintstone. Why Cuckoo Glintstone? That's Glintstone enchanted by the cuckoos, right? For use by the knights. Broken Glintstone and wreathed with a magic power. A faux sorcery used by the knights. Yeah, I wonder why, like, why is that there? Strange. It was a choice. It was a choice, and they made it deliberately. Yeah. There we go. It's a waygate. And where is it going to take us? Miquella's Halig tree. There it is. And there's an item right behind us, too. Nice. We are up in these crazy branches. Look at all the envoys. It's covered in growth like you would see with the Scarlet Rot down in Aeonia. Try and get this thing without dying. A stone sword key. I don't need any more of those. There's actually another noble body. It's like they made it this far and then they didn't make it. I mean, look at the view, too. I mean, we are way up here. And actually, right there, look, there's the Erd tree. It's actually pretty glorious. Like orange, autumn, gold, red colors. Where is that? What are we looking at there? Is that... Right? That's another land somewhere there. Because, I mean, that portion has to be water. So it's all, you can almost see different lands out in the distance. Would that be the northern, like, Badlands or anything like that? Alright, yeah, we'll talk more about this in the next one. That's going to be the end of this video. This place is pretty cool. I do really like it. It's a neat area. Kind of a pain in the butt, obviously, right? Yeah, see, right there's the edge of the world. Or no, that's where the church is at. Right? Bits of building there. That's Castle Saul or Ordina section, maybe? Where is... I don't know. Okay. I'll stop. Thank you guys for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it. And, yeah, as always, take care.